Outdoor vertical and horizontal hydroponics. I had the amazing opportunity of working on this for my thesis with a great supervisor and lab mates. This system combines the benefits of less water, less space, and the use of natural light to grow food hydroponically. This, as nice as it looks, did not start here, so come with me on this journey. Starting seeds. This was the first time I had to try starting seeds, different types of seeds in perlite, peat moss, just so we know which ones can do the best and which ones we will be able to transplant into the actual hydroponic systems when we finish building the structures. We went on to building the hydroponic systems. So for the first time I had to use what they call a miter saw to cut wood and prepare all of the wood we're going to need for the horizontal and the vertical structures. And then at the same time we started the second round of starting seeds. And this was a little better than the first round, but there was still a lot that had to be learned. And then moving on to preparing the pipes. The pipes was where the net pots were going to hold the plants, and we had to make the holes. And thankfully, I had amazing people to work with, from preparing the pipes to preparing the ground. These lab mates came out to help out with the entire process, and it made it way easier, easier than it would have been. And then went on to building the vertical structures. This was an interesting part of the process, seeing the little parts become a whole part. Thankfully I had a supervisor who knows a lot about designing, and so he helped out majorly with giving us the design for this. And then moved on to starting seeds again for the third time, but this time we decided to do it in rock wool after a lot of research, and this seemed to work the best for us. As you can see, we had some of the seedlings beginning to pop out uniformly. At the same time, we were putting the rest of the systems together. This was kind of the semi-final stage of building the systems. And then this was how it all looked at the end. You have the little pipes, the big pipes, and all of them, flowing into each other to form a circulating hydroponic system. This was how the A-frame looked, and stay tuned for part 2. Welcome back to my short thesis story. So for the first run, we had a lot of issues with the system. Initially, we started with seedlings that had been transplanted from an indoor environment to the systems outdoors. This is my mom, I just had to picture her. And then we realized a lot of them died, and so we reseeded them. And reseeding them meant they would take longer to grow, and that means they didn't have as much time to grow in the systems, and also their roots were not well developed enough to get in the solutions by themselves. And then we had an issue with leaks, so on many occasions we had to refill the tank. This is my roommate who came out to help me. This is how they looked at almost 7 weeks, and these were a few of the really good ones, right? And these were pictures of the other ones and how big they had grown. Well, rather how little they had grown. This is cilantro. Cilantro takes a long time to germinate, so this is how little it was at harvest. And so these were obviously not a marketable size. So we had to run everything again from the very beginning. This time we decided to start the seeds outside instead of inside. And this is how they looked. We needed to build a mini greenhouse, to put them outside, and this is what we came up with a couple of my lab mates. Roots. This was a pleasant surprise. Then after some time we moved them to the net pots. where they would have more space to develop roots.
Oh, okay.
You know, because we wanted their roots to be well grown before moving them into the system, so they could reach for the nutrient solution by themselves without so much need for assistance.
Stage 2.
So you can see that they were growing very well in this system. We covered them on some days where there was a cold front, and then took them off during the day so that they had enough access to sunlight. Yeah. And all of them were growing, and growing evenly. And this is a great improvement, from the first run. This is even before going into the main systems. So this is a huge improvement. And we planted a lot more than needed, so that just in case any of them died, we would not have a shortage in the actual system. Pak choy did very well. It grew the fastest and had the biggest roots. And this was one of the days where we tried to fix the leaks in the system,
So
to prepare for moving these into the system at the 4-week mark. Plants grow at different paces, but they grew evenly, so that was really good. And this was the time when we moved them into the systems. And then because the roots were not as developed, we still added wicks to them. And this is the evening, actually the night, because we were there till 12 midnight, trying to transplant all of them. It was a really, really long process, but so worth it. And this is how they look just at the beginning of the growth in the actual systems. And that just tells you that the seedling stage, seed starting stage, is so important, because this is bigger than how the previous ones looked at the end of the 7-week period. This is what we finished transplanted all of them. And after a few days, or I think about a week, they had grown a lot. You can see tangible growth. This is an aerial view of the horizontal system, and this is a picture of the A-frame system. And you can see that they were visibly becoming bigger and bigger, and it was just beautiful to see them growing over time and doing well on their own. We had fewer leaks. I think only about 2 systems had leaks this time, which made a lot of difference. This is the vertical system. And you can see that some plants grew faster than others, and that is just a morphological thing. Some plants generally grow bigger than others. This was probably about the 2-week mark in the system, and like the 5th week to 6th week mark overall. And this was a few days to harvesting. This is how big they had grown. And they grew really quickly. The lettuce, the kale, the red lettuce, pak choy grew a lot. It was really huge, but some of them were almost falling off the systems because of how huge they were. And we definitely required less maintenance, when we had fewer leaks. So that's just to show that if we can have a completely leak-proof system, then you don't even have to check on the plants. And this is completely outdoors, not in a greenhouse. So this is at harvest. So thank you for watching. Please feel free to ask any questions.